Hello, welcome back. No, I'm not teaching Japanese in this video. Instead, I'll be talking about a number of unofficial meetups that I've orchestrated for the past 5 years in my local area, but mainly with autistic adults. So, before I start, I will be recording some real stories from these events that I've orchestrated myself. But to preserve confidentiality, I won't be revealing any names nor referencing any real names for confidentiality and copyright purposes. So, let's start. If you want me to be highly specific, I started arranging these unofficial events back in the summer of 2015, shortly after I started a new job. At that time, I did not have any consistent friends, as one might say. I know a lot of people who came and went over the years, and I met several people who acted as if they were my close friends, but in reality they were not. One example of this person, whose name I won't mention, I met them 10 years ago in a charity shop, and although I currently live 5 minutes away from them, I don't like to talk about them, and I secretly despise them. So I'll put that to one side for now. But one of the reasons I decided to start these regular meetups was to help build up a small network of friends who are consistent, and at the same time create an unparalleled variety of funny stories, escapades, and memories that we can tell relatives and friends in future events and parties. I know this might sound very trivial to you, but I do find it very difficult to recall anecdotes on the spot, and with these kinds of events there's less chance of running out of things to discuss when it comes to awkward situations such as visiting cousins, weddings, parties, or other miscellaneous events. So, did it work? Well, to be honest, yes and no. So yes, I do have a small network of semi-consistent friends whom I meet on a regular basis, and two of them are actually in a relationship because they both attended one of my meetups last year and they exchanged numbers. But I would say no as well because I've lost a couple of friends through my meetups, as I no longer arrange them on a monthly basis for personal reasons, and I'll reveal the reasons why. One of the reasons I don't arrange monthly meetups for autistic adults is that if you do it too often, then to them they'll assume that it will happen on a far regular basis, and they will just see you as that guy who does the nights out and nothing else. It may sound sad and paranoid, but most of these autistic adults don't really mean to do that. It's just that most of them are better thinking about themselves over others, and it can be difficult to tell if they are either taking advantage of you or not, or generally they don't care at all. Even I myself have those very same problems. I find it very difficult to relate to other people, and I find it far more easier to despise people than actually show compassion with them. I can't really say much about it, but on YouTube you probably see a lot of people saying how wonderful life is, and how they love, and compassion is key, but not everybody actually thinks like that, do they? If you really want to know, I only met 2 people at my meetups who generally did not care at all. And I say that is because those 2 thought that my sole duty was to serve them and fit around them entirely, and arrange their pub nights for their own personal pleasure. Also, those 2 were quite rude and had lacked manners as well, so I decided to unofficially kick them out. It may sound sad, but at that time I have a full-time job, and I had several side projects such as learning bookkeeping and accounting, as well as learning Japanese on my holiday, and I do not see why I was fitting myself around two people who had nothing better to do than sit around, play video games and complain and slug off other people. Likewise, I will not name any names. To some less educated viewers, they may think, oh, it's okay for them to act like that because they're autistic and that means they're vulnerable to everybody. Well, it's not like that. Well, you see, if an able-bodied autistic man is hostile and deliberately swears towards a table full of other able-bodied autistic adults, then that kind of thinking can be seen as shallow, pointless, and well senseless. As you may have probably met more and more autistic people in your life, you kind of realise that you can't play the I have autism cards, and you can't steal a bunch of Monopoly get out of jail free cards either. And now I've forgotten why I was here. Right, Nights of Disabled Adults. I remember now. When I mean disabled adults in this video, I'm only going to specifically talk about autistic adults who are young to middle-aged, who have light to moderate forms of autism, such as, well, autism spectrum disorder mainly. But some of those either have additional learning disabilities or don't, and they don't severely impair their lifestyle in any way whatsoever. So, before I elaborate on that, nearly all of my guests who come to my meetups are able-bodied and don't have any severe mobility issues such as wheelchairs, for example. But it was quite an amusing event happened 3 years ago. One of my regulars to my meetup, he broke his foot, and he actually came to Nando's wearing crutches. And this really surprised me, was because before we went to Nando's, he gave me a text saying that he was coming, and I thought he made a mistake on his phone, because majority of people, if they break their leg, they're quite unlikely to go out to a restaurant just because of their injury. But my friend really surprised me, and he actually came to the restaurant on his crutches. And yeah, I was actually quite surprised and grateful for that. It just shows you how some people would actually come to your events despite this minor setback. And despite that, my friend, he actually had a great time that night, and we actually had ice cream after Nando's as well. And one other regular to my meetup, he's on the slightly more severe end of the autistic spectrum, but he is highly independent, he works independently and lives independently, and yet despite these sad setbacks, he is actually a great asset to my meetups, and I still see him on a regular basis. Now, for the rest of this video, I think it would be better if I went ad-lib, and when I say ad-lib, it means I won't be following the script. So, here's the script, it's over there. So, originally, I wanted to start this video to discuss arranging nights out for autistic adults, but I thought it would be better to leave it for another video, because I need to give more time and explain specifically and in black and white how to get the correct date, location, time, and explain how many guests you should, maximum or minimum number of guests you should invite. Because as I know for adults with learning difficulties, doing this will be a lot harder than you imagine, and if I made a little template that they can follow, it could alleviate things, make it much easier for them, and reduce the number of stress that you'll get trying to arrange such a thing. And that is it. Did hope you enjoyed watching this video. Before I finish, If you have any personal questions, non-personal questions, comments, or suggestions, you can leave them in the comment section or in the private message part of YouTube, if it does have one, of course. So, on a lighter note, it's a picture of a Korean woman holding a bottle of cider. And so, thank you for watching. Please subscribe. So, bye. Matane. Peace out. Das vidanya. Annyeonghi kaseyo or annyeonghi gaseyo. I don't know if that's Korean, by the way. I'm just saying goodbye. And thank you for watching.